Pine Point Old School. I just want to kind of talk a little bit about the Midwest Paranormal Files. We were formed in November 2010, so we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. Since then, we have conducted 16 investigations. We take the Midwest portion of the Midwest Paranormal Files to heart. We've had investigations from Duluth all the way down to Villisca, Iowa, which is the very southern part of the state. But we do strive for the local investigations. We love to share hauntings that are right in your backyard, and definitely our featured local investigation has been the Pine Point Old School. We were the first and only paranormal research group to have investigated the Pine Point Old School. We have done it twice now, and you will see evidence from both investigations. We do practice the scientific technical model of investigations, so that's what you will see in our evidence. It will be either by video that's been recorded or audio, again, recorded. 100% I can guarantee none of it has been tampered with by us. This is all original evidence. Just want to kind of plug our website. We do post our evidence from locations that don't care, that they allow us to publicize it. We do investigations that also want discretion. That's what we practice as well if the client wants it. All investigations are free of charge. As you see, it's paranormalfiles.org. And also you can befriend us on Facebook. We've also got an account on YouTube where we do post our videos on YouTube. And on occasion, we do have live web investigations on Ustream. And that will always be announced on Facebook and our website. Over the year, we have collected a good cache of equipment. And let me introduce Jeremy Bierman, and he's going to talk about our equipment that we used on the Pine Point investigation and our other investigations.
Thanks, Brian. All right, let's get this going. So I'm the token tech guy. Every group needs one. So this is the basic, digital voice recorder that we use. Everybody needs one. They can cost $40 like this model, or you can spend a whole bunch of money and get the same result. They pick up, you can hear yourself, and then it'll pick up the sounds that you can't hear due to frequency and hearing and all that sort of stuff. This is the DVR equipment. It's a static, no audio, just it's like a security camera. We've got a 4-channel and an 8-channel, so that gives us the flexibility to be, like we did the SS Urban. We were able to have one set up in the captain's quarters, another set up in the boiler room and crew's quarters. So it's a good validation tool. You can see on the video where people were at certain times. You can, if there's a sound on an EVP that you can't quite decipher what it is, you can go back, sync the audio up, to watch that video. Like, okay, that guy bumped a chair, that's what that was. So that's a good tool to have. This is a Frank's box. It creates white noise by flipping through radio stations. We don't use that, if we catch anything on it, it's not really evidence. It's just a tool that we use to better direct our attention to certain things. This is the laser pointer, like this. It shoots out like 1,000 points of light. And the theory is if something walks in front of it, past a shadow, it'll break the lightnings you can kind of see. This is the IR point and shoot camera. It does still pictures and video, and an external IR light to help it. This is the K2 meter that reads the EMF, electromagnetic field. We'll go through and do a sweep and make sure that there isn't any, like the fear cage room or anything like that. Old wiring will give off EMF. that sort of thing. So then if we're walking around later in the night using it and we get a spike, we'll know that, okay, this area was clean before, so now we're dealing with something. Again, it's not evidence, but it'll direct our attention. We got 3 Sony handy cameras. 2 of them are high 8, the old tapes. This is a mini DV version. We don't have the digital, on a hard drive kind yet. I haven't been able to find one that works as well in no light situations. We've used these and we've caught quite a bit of evidence with that. This is the temperature thermometers. One is IR, shoots a beam, tells you what that wall temperature is. The other one is the ambient air temperature. And that way we'll do a sweep, go through, okay, if this room is 75 degrees, and if you're standing in there later on and it drops down to 60, well, there's your cold spot. This is a game camera, just like the one used to catch the cougar picture out by Underwood that the DNR says doesn't exist. So it uses heat signatures and movement, and it'll take either a 20-second video or it'll take a picture, whatever we set it to. We'll use this in conjunction with the DVR, put it in a spot that we can't get to otherwise, and if the door moves or something like that, it'll go off. And last but not least, the walkie-talkies. If you're in a group of more than 2 people, you got to know where everybody else is. So if you hear a door slam, you can radio to the other people. It's like, did anybody just close the door? No, yes, whatever. So, next up is my wife Emily. She'll tell you the history of Pine Point.
Well, not the history of Pine Point, but the history of the Pine Point School. Again, yeah, my name is Emily Smith-Bierman. Closer, they said. Welcome to the White Earth Indian Reservation. We call it Galbabigankag. The reservation was created in 1867 by a treaty with President Andrew Johnson. And just to give you a timeline of when that happened, President Andrew Johnson was sworn in the day after President Lincoln was assassinated. That's how long this has been here. The reservation was created with 1,000 square miles. It was supposed to house all of the Native Americans living in the state of Minnesota. Was the original intention. Of course, later more reservations had to be made. There were a lot more Indians here than they thought there were. My family was removed from their homes at Ottertail Pilliger, near what is now Brainerd, and they were placed in the southeast corner of the White Earth Reservation, and the newly formed village was then called Pine Point, or Nation Waukakon. Then my family remained there in that village for 130 years. I lived there until I turned 18 and moved away to college. So I did go to school for a time at this school that we investigated. They told me how to use this. Slowly but surely. Okay. Back in 1867, Pine Point life was hard. They were effectively isolated from the outside world until the Episcopal missionaries showed up. In 1888, the Episcopal Church built a small log cabin for a school. And there it is. Yes. The schoolhouse began with about 9 students, and success grew slowly for the school, but 7 years later, in 1895, a larger boarding school was built here. Soon after, by the Nelson Act of Congress, all Indians living outside of reservation borders were declared illegal. They were arrested and forcibly moved. As a result, the school grew exponentially as more of the refugees arrived. By the time this school burned down 40 years later, the school had 90 students, from 9 to 90. A new school was built in 1936. It had 2 stories. The top floor was a one-room schoolhouse with the kitchen. The bottom floor had some smaller classrooms, a coal boiler, the janitor's quarters, and a large auditorium with a stage. We've got a picture circa 1947 of the Plain Point school kids putting on a play on that stage. This auditorium also had a projector with a movie screen, and the community could gather on Tuesday nights and come and watch a movie for 10 cents a person. But if you were a student and you made it to class every day that week, didn't miss any time, you got to get in for free. We also have a picture of it's a picture of Miss Evans's nursery school class of 1942. There they are, so cute. This is my mom's father. That's Minnie Arthur, David Annette. And that's my little Auntie Carol Annette. She's now Annette Kramer. I think she looks exactly like my 4-year-old daughter, Viv. She sent me a lot of pictures that we got to use today. In 1952, there was an addition made to the school. More classrooms were added on, a gymnasium. You could also see in the background there the teachers' quarters. There was a nurses' quarters. And in 1978, the final addition was made. The addition was built in the form of a turtle. Turtles do have great significance in Native America. Several different tribes do believe that the earth was created on the back of a turtle shell. The roof of the structure is domed to emulate the back of a turtle shell. We also have a picture here. There's a turtle head. There are also 4 cement legs coming up the other side, purely decorative, and it's still standing there made of cement. After the final expansion, the older parts of the school were used primarily for office space. Storage and other areas did fall into disuse. The main entrance doors to the back parts were closed, and the community was content to use the newer, more modern area. It's used now as the Pine Point Community Center, used every day by the Boys and Girls Club meets there.